All right, we're going to pause now and hear from Tom, who has lived the Vanderbilt experience, and then come back with questions.
Sure. Uh, I'm very impressed. Do you think I can apply and re-enter Vanderbilt for another degree?
Ah, you could reapply for an engineering degree, but not for another arts and science degree.
All right, good to know. It's really interesting to see
You thought
how
about
much
that one.
the slides are very enticing, uh, especially the slide of the Commodore in the fall foliage. I remember how beautiful the campus was and is, and I should get back there for a visit sometime
Oh, you
soon.
should get back. We just had homecoming. Where were you?
I was here. I was here
There you
visiting
are.
Katie in New Zealand. Yeah.
Well, in another
So
beautiful
thanks for
spot.
having me. I really appreciate it. The school has come really a long way and evolved quite a bit since I've been there. I see the residential college experience as being something that is extremely unique and something that's extremely valuable. I'm really glad to see how Vanderbilt has really invested a lot in its future and invested a lot in the students. It is really impressive to see the progress, and undoubtedly that's largely due to your arrival since you arrived there right around the time that I was leaving, right?
Exactly. I'll take all the credit for it. I
Credit.
wish.
Right. Well, it's
No,
a
it's
wonderful
because
place
you
to
were
go to
here,
school.
Tom, and our increased selectivity has to do with the fact that students like you, who were here at the turn of the century, went away saying what a fabulous experience they had had, and everybody else started lining up.
Good, good. It's also funny to hear you say students here at the turn of the century. That makes it sound like a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
uh, it was, but it was a good time, and I really enjoyed living in Nashville for 4 years. I actually am not unlike some international students in that I grew up overseas. I grew up in Asia, in Japan and Thailand, where actually one of my best friends growing up was a Kiwi. I had a Kiwi friend, a Finnish friend, a Japanese friend, and I was the American guy. And that was our group of friends in Japan. But I finished up my high school in New England, and then I went off to Vanderbilt. And while it certainly is different culturally from all the places that I've lived, being a third culture kid, the transition is not something that is terribly difficult. You learn to adapt and you learn to appreciate the differences of the culture of living in the mid-south, I believe is what you call. There's so much that you can learn. There's so much that you can see. Music City, I hope they still call it Music City, but there is
Absolutely.
literally music on every corner of that city, and it's really fun to be able to go into any restaurant, any bar, any street corner, and there's a musician playing. It's a wonderful place, especially if you're a music fan. There's also a lot to see in Tennessee and outside of Tennessee. It really is kind of in the heart of the country there, and you can drive or fly. I actually drove because I had a car or I had friends with cars, and I drove to Chicago, I drove to New Orleans, I drove to Atlanta, I drove to Chattanooga, Knoxville, Memphis, Dallas, Washington. The list goes on how easy it is to get to different places from Nashville. So not only did I get to experience Nashville, but I got to experience a good portion of the U.S. as a result of sort of having a jumping off point of Nashville to see the what is a really large country relative to many countries in the world. So I would highly recommend those that end up going to Vanderbilt to take advantage of the fact that it is centrally located and you can see so much of the country and experience so much because uh, sadly, in a blink of an eye, the 4 years will be gone and you might regret not having done some of those things. So I greatly recommend you do that. Uh, so why don't I, instead of going on a monologue, allow you guys to ask a few questions.
Yeah,
Uh,
I would love to ask you to step back a little bit and think about being a high school student and being overwhelmed with university choices all over the U.S. And abroad, probably. But if you can think back to some of the special things that you were looking for in university experience, for me, it's kind of a silly list, but I wanted to go to a university that had a rugby team, and I wanted there to be fountains on campus. And it's a little bit silly, but those are the things that some of the things that I really wanted to have. But what
mhm.
what those things for you?
What I wanted to have was I wanted to have a university that was both big and small, a university that was in a major metropolitan area, and a university that had engineering as a degree. So I applied to Vanderbilt among, I think I had 8 other schools that I applied to. And the reason I went to Vanderbilt was it met all those requirements, but also was by far the best school that I got into. And it certainly is extremely important to throw your weight into a school that has affords you the best opportunity to get a great education, but also set you on a path for success in your career, which is actually something that not a lot of 18-year-olds, at least in the U.S., would think about. And frankly, I wasn't thinking about it that much, but I knew that it was important objectively from the advice given to me by my parents. And I'm glad I took that advice because Vanderbilt really did put me on the right path to success. That said, I did apply for engineering school, but it turns out that I wasn't excellent at it, and I didn't really enjoy my experience in engineering, but Vanderbilt offered me the opportunity to change my mind and change my major, which I believe a substantial portion of university students in the U.S. do. I think the lesson learned there is it's okay to make a decision that might not be the right decision at first because you can pivot and change your direction. I ended up becoming a major in economics, and I really enjoyed that. And the only reason that happened was, A, I was afforded the opportunity to change my mind, but B, I just happened to be taking a class, an econ intro class, and a couple classes in, I said, you know what, this is what I really like. I'd rather do this than engineering. So I had 2.5 years of economics courses, and I really enjoyed that.